Recorded Books and One Click Digital present C.S. Lewis's Mere Christianity, a biography by George M. Marsden, narrated by Robert Ian Mackenzie. Introduction. Mere Christianity has had a remarkable life story. Most books, even those that make a big splash at the time of publication, eventually fade away like the ripples on a pond. Only a relative few take on lives of their own so that they are generating new ripples even a generation later. Far more rare is a book whose life story tells not only of survival into future generations, but even of growing vitality. Such books become classics. Perhaps it's too early to designate as a classic a book that is only a few generations old. Even so, from the perspective of the early 21st century, we surely must say that Mere Christianity is one of the great religious books of the 20th century, if for no other reason than the phenomenon of its continuing life. A survey of church leaders by the influential American evangelical magazine Christianity Today in 2000 ranked it first among the 100 books that had a significant effect on Christians this century. Time magazine called Lewis the hottest theologian of 2005. Since 2001, Mere Christianity has sold well over 3.5 million copies in English alone, far more than in the mid-century years after it was first published. Although it has been translated into at least 36 languages and has had an untold impact in many parts of the world, including a sizable readership in China, its most extraordinary popularity has been in the United States. There, and elsewhere, fans of the work include Christians from across almost the whole spectrum of denominations, from Roman Catholic and Orthodox to mainline Protestant to evangelical and Pentecostal. The lasting and even growing appeal of Mere Christianity is all the more remarkable in that it was not designed to be a book. C.S. Lewis originally presented it as 4 separate sets of radio broadcasts that he was asked to deliver for the BBC during the grim days of the Second World War. Lewis edited the talks and published them in 3 little paperbacks. These enjoyed steady sales in both Great Britain and the United States, helped by C.S. Lewis's popularity as the author of the Screwtape Letters. Then, in 1952, he combined the 3 earlier books under the title Mere Christianity. The title page specified that this was a revised and amplified edition with a new introduction. As a repackaging of earlier works, Mere Christianity came out without fanfare or reviews. From these modest beginnings, the book steadily grew in popularity over the decades. So the question the present volume seeks to answer is this: what is it about this collection of informal radio talks that accounts for their taking on such a thriving life of their own? The answer to that fascinating question will inevitably have a number of dimensions. First, one has to know something about the author of the book, because an author initially gives a book its life. Second, one has to know something about the circumstances under which the book was written, the author's purpose in writing it, and its intended audience. Third, one has to consider how it has been received over the years by differing audiences and communities. What factors in their cultural and religious settings contributed to the book's popularity? What has been its public reception? Who have been its most influential promoters, and how did its influence grow? What have been negative factors and criticisms of the book that point to limitations in its appeal? Finally, taking all these sorts of factors into consideration, what qualities in its character give the book its ongoing life or lasting vitality? Recounting the life of a book such as this has some limits. Normally, the story of a book after its publication has to do primarily with its public reception. Especially in the case of books that are officially sacred scripture for a particular tradition, the story is largely about differing interpretations or about controversies related to the book. Sometimes a book makes the news if it influences some well-known people, institutions, or major movements. Those matters constitute what might be called the public life.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?